All right, welcome everyone. So today we're going to be talking about, are you in an environment that creates contempt? Contempt is a really, really strong emotion, and we're going to talk and break down various ingredients and components that are required in order to create an environment of contempt or those emotions of contempt. And so I wanted to talk about that today. And if this is your first time joining me, my name is Tina. I'm a happiness coach. I help business owners deal with the emotional side of business, whether that's in your personal life or your professional life. Okay? So, the first thing that I want to talk about is, let's define what contempt is. So, I looked up the dictionary definition of it. And it says, a person or thing that is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving of scorn. And an example that was given was, showed contempt for his job by doing it very badly. So disregard for something that should be taken into account, the act of despising, disdain, glaring at him with contempt, lack of respect or reverence for something. So those are some pretty powerful emotions. And it takes a lot to get somebody to a point of disdain, to a point of contempt, where they feel so filled with scorn and hatred and lack of respect for another human being. It takes a lot of work, a lot of consistent work to create that. It takes a lot of energy to feel that kind of hatred. And so to be in that place, it's actually very, very draining for you, for your body, for your mind, for your soul. And so let's talk a little bit about the kind of situations that end up creating those feelings of contempt. And I know I've had those feelings before. And so we're going to talk about it. So the first ingredient that I think is required to create contempt, whether that's in a relationship that you have, or if it's with an employee, or if it's with a customer, they have these feelings of contempt. They hate your product, they hate you as a boss, they hate your coworkers, they hate the company, they don't want to be in this relationship. So the first thing is, it takes extreme neglect. So this has to happen over a period of time. They have to be in a position where they feel like they have been hurt over a long period of time. They haven't been heard. Their thoughts, their feelings, what's going on with them has just been ignored, swept under the rug. And so when you have that kind of extreme neglect, somebody over a period of time, no matter what you say to them, they're going to scoff at you, they're going to scorn you, they're going to like not listen to what you have to say, they're going to roll their eyes going, oh, here they go again. Now, sometimes if this is a newer relationship, maybe it's not you particularly that has done the neglect, that hasn't listened to them, that hasn't heard them. Maybe it's somebody that's only been with the company for a short amount of time, and then they react this way when they come across a challenge. Now, you might be dealing with somebody else's neglect, somebody else's lack of attention to how this person felt. So you could be inheriting somebody else's neglect when you take on a new employee or take on a new customer. So you might do something, or they might experience something that triggers this kind of emotional reaction with them, and they maybe throw the baby out with the bathwater, and you're thinking to yourself, but I haven't done anything to you. So whether it's neglect that was created by you not paying attention, and maybe it's because you were too busy doing other things, maybe it's because you didn't know that they were being treated that way by either other leaders in your organization, or other coworkers, or other family members. Maybe you didn't know the full details. whether it was from you or somebody else that created that neglect, it is something that you will end up having to deal with in your business. Okay? The second thing that is required to create an environment or a response of contempt from somebody is it requires lies and gaslighting. So gaslighting is a form of lying. Something happens and somebody comes along and go, well, no, that's not it. Or that's not what I said. Or that's not what our company policy is. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of somebody telling you it's company policy and you know that you've done nothing wrong as a customer, you're going to feel a lot of scorn, hatred. You're going to think that the product or the company is worthless. You're going to feel a lot of negative feelings. And so you can just have somebody who's just not paying attention properly, not servicing the customer in the right way, and they were going to feel a lot of neglect. Then they're going to go out and they're going to spread that to everybody that they know. And that requires a lot of damage control, right? So now, in order for this to happen, it has to happen fairly consistently. Now, if the customer this was their first time dealing with you, again, it might not be because of you. Maybe the person that was speaking to them said something that reminded them of another company, and they thought, oh, here we go again. We're gonna, I'm getting scammed again, or they're not gonna pay attention to me, or maybe it's just something, a belief that that person has. Regardless of who caused it, it can be fixed, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff in a minute. But first, we're going to talk about some of the ingredients that create these feelings of contempt, these feelings of lack of respect, lack of consideration, and maybe your employees showing up doing a shit job, and you're just like, okay, on their first day they weren't like this, so what happened? Something had to happen to create this. Because people don't generally, because it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work to feel that bad about something. So you have to pay attention what happened and really diagnose where the problem is coming from in order to actually solve it. The third ingredient that requires contempt is it has to be this neglect, these lies, these gaslighting, these things that have happened have to come from somebody who is in power. They have power, they have authority, and it's an abuse of power in order to create feelings of contempt. Okay? Or it has to be somebody who is protected by somebody who has power. Because in order to feel contempt and be in that situation, on some level, you have to feel like you have no other choice but to be in that situation. So that means that other person has control over you. They have power over you in some way, shape, or form. Whether you feel like you have to go to this job and your boss has treated you like this, if it is you have to go to this job and it's this coworker that you have to deal with and you can't stand them and they've lied to you, they've not paid attention to the things that have gone on that you've tried to address, you were gaslit, it was swept under the rug. These are all signs. So what ends up happening, if that person feels like they have no other choice but to be there, it's going to show up in their performance. Okay, and that could be the reason why they're doing a shit job. So when you're trying to address these, you need to address this at a leadership level first and understand why the leadership hasn't been able to look into it. Now, there are some extreme cases. It had nothing to do with the leader, had nothing to do with the company or organization. Like I said, it could be coming from a past experience. And this is why it's important to understand what goes into creating those feelings so that you can start to address them. So if extreme neglect is what one of the ingredients are, extreme attention is going to help you solve that. Giving them the attention, giving them the service that they are actually requiring, rather than dismissing that person as the crazy person, right? Maybe they are crazy, but you can still win those ones over. And I promise you can. Because I've seen a lot of people do it. I've done it myself, is by rebuilding that trust, being consistent enough to build that trust. And you have to determine, is this relationship worth saving? That's another thing. Is there enough good qualities coming from this? There have been times where I've cut people off where I'm like, no, I'm not seeing enough of the tally sheet of good behaviors to warrant investing the time that it's going to take to overcome this extreme neglect that you've had. So if it's a really good customer and you know that they normally are fine, but they've gotten to this point where they're now not happy with the service, it's worth it to build that back up. Now, if this person is just walking in and they're firing off, then it could be something that is from the past, right, that they've experienced. Again, assessing whether or not it's worth it. Is your company a product or service? You want to make sure that they're taken care of. You want to make sure they get the attention that they deserve, so that they, especially if they have high contempt for another company, and then you are the one that is able to turn that around. You are the one that is able to restore their faith in humanity. That is a massive skill set to have, to be able to turn around when somebody has contempt and hatred for an industry, a company, a product, a service, something like that, and you're able to be the one to turn them around to see, oh, maybe, just maybe, you are able to gain their trust back. You are able to actually heal that person from their previous experiences because of what they have gone through. And keep in mind, if they have that level of contempt, they've had repeated failures over and over. They've had their trust broken over and over and over again. So for you as a company, you as a leader, to come in and repair that kind of trust, you have the ability to heal another person by being trustworthy, by being the one who consistently follows through, consistently shows up, and is able to show that you're not like the others. Okay? Now, some people have been hurt a lot, so you have to determine what level you're willing to go to, what level you're willing to help bring this person. Maybe you can't bring them all the way, but maybe you can take them 10 steps forward, 5 steps forward, 1 step forward, and regain that trust. And there's been plenty of times I've had to do this, especially in a customer service environment, and I was often given people whose trust have been broken over and over and over again. So I took that as a personal crusade, if you will, that I wanted to be able to show them that what they've experienced in the past will not happen again under my watch. That I don't want them to go through that. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect, that I will make mistakes, but I will try to fix those to the best of my ability. Now, I'm not always able to. Sometimes there are roadblocks and restrictions, but in those cases, at least being honest, being authentic, being truthful, and saying, I can't fix that piece for you, but here's what I can do instead. This is within my realm of control. This is what I'm able to do. And making sure that everybody within your organization knows what's in their realm of control to be able to fix things, so that they don't have to just lie or brush things under the rug or try to dance around things. They need to know very clearly what it is that they can do to fix things, and what is what is outside of their control, and to be transparent about that so that the other person knows what they can and what they can't do. And if they can't do it, is there somebody within the organization who can help them to make that decision that maybe isn't within that person's control? Making sure that you have clear lines of communication that are able to solve those kind of challenges. And the third thing of making sure that the people in power are able to admit their faults, are able to admit when they haven't been paying attention, they haven't been able to give it, that they have been neglecting certain aspects. We're not all perfect, and it's not always going to be the right thing that we do, but being able to acknowledge it, and instead of punishing people for acknowledging where they've gone wrong, reward them for acknowledging their errors instead of punishing and saying, oh, you can't say that we were having system problems. Well, we were having system problems. Now, if you're repeatedly having system problems and you try to slough it off like that or sweep it under the rug, then that's going to cause problems, and you need to address those things. So it takes a bit of effort in the front end to start changing the behaviors so that they are this way, and that these are the behaviors that get rewarded within the organization. That honesty, transparency, and being authentic and addressing the issues doesn't mean you're always perfect, but you will go a lot further knowing that, I mean, I will trust a company that admits their errors but is willing to improve it, right? No different than if you're at a restaurant and they made a mistake on your order, but they're willing to correct it by, giving you a discount or comping your meal or giving you a free dessert or something like that, that they're willing to acknowledge that the error was made and that they're also willing to make amends for it, right? That goes a long way. And that goes a long way in your personal or professional relationships. If you're dealing with somebody who cannot admit that they made an error, that they made a mistake, and that they are willing to fix it, and these are the things that they're going to do to fix it, then that may be something that you will eventually get to the point where that you have contempt for that person, that you don't have respect for them. And I don't know about you guys, but the worst thing is for somebody to lose respect for you. Because respect means whether you are there or not, they will always do the right thing, that they will have your back, where love is a little bit more fickle. Somebody can love you one day, hate you the next, because it's based on, did you do these things for me, right? Whereas respect is, even if I dislike you, even if I disagree with you, I will show you respect that you deserve as a human being, that you deserve kindness, that you deserve courtesy, and no different than how we treat strangers, right? We often will treat a stranger with more kindness and respect than we do sometimes the people that are closest to us. So, and that includes our employees. That includes, I've seen so many times in companies where, customers are forgiven for all kinds of things because why? They give us money, right? They keep the business running. But you can't treat a customer one way and then treat your employees terribly, thinking that you're going to get the best results from your employees interacting with your customers. Because if they start to feel contempt for you or contempt for the organization because they don't feel heard, they don't feel valued, they don't feel listened to, they feel neglected, that will translate to how they behave with your clients, with your customers. So you always want to make sure that you're addressing, and if you see signs of contempt, you see signs of disdain, it needs to be addressed right away, because in order for it to get to that level, it's already been going along for a long time. So That's why you need to pay attention when you see those signs and address them as soon as possible. And if you need help addressing signs of disdain, whether that's coming from your customers, they're not happy with your service, your employees, you need help with those kind of culture changes, then reach out to me. I do have a 5-day workshop, a change management workshop, to help address issues within a business for culture changes. So if that's something you want more information about, reach out to me. Coach Tina B 125. You can send me a DM, or you can reach out to me on YouTube. The replays for these trainings are uploaded on YouTube, Coach Tina B 125. Okay, so that is the training for today. I hope you guys found it helpful, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.